Some people ask, why should we be concerned about an anti-racism collaborative? Why should we come together around the issue of racism?
Anti-racism work matters to me as a Muslim, primarily first because I am a father of 3 children. My children have been subjected to racism going to an Islamic school. One of my sons, in fact, said that he didn't even want to go to an Islamic school anymore because he was being called abid or slave continuously by teachers at the school. So these types of situations are a threat to the Muslim identity of my children and many other children who are subjected to racism and colorism at school.
Almost on a weekly basis, I would hear people in my own family and in my community refer to African Americans, Black Americans, Africans as abid, which is something that I grew up with and actually internalized as an actual word that meant Black people, until I grew up and understood that that word actually meant slave. And it was something that immediately connected and gave me the obligation to start working against that word. And this is something, unfortunately, that was so ingrained in the community that I lived in New York City.
We have issues of Muslim children who are talked about and looked down upon because of the color of their skin, and not just relating to African Americans, but even the South Asian Arab culture, where lighter skin is seen as being more right or more beautiful, and darker skin is seen as being ugly.
Islam as a way of life, Islam as the teachings and the faith, does not have a place for racism. The last sermon, the last khutbah of the Prophet ﷺ spoke very clearly about racism and not worrying about people's color and how they look and things like this. But Muslims are still human, and Muslims are still susceptible to their environment and to their traditions if they don't really get active.
We can't talk about inequality, we can't talk about issues of immigration, we can't talk about issues of education, issues of marriage, any really important issue without talking about racism. Racism exists within the Muslim community and outside the Muslim community, and it is our obligation to make sure that we combat racism on a daily basis.
If you're a human, if you're American, if you're a Muslim, this is your campaign, and you have to join it.
It's not just my issue, it's not just the issue of scholars or activists in our community. This is really an individual's responsibility, or what I would say is fardun ayn. It's an individual responsibility of every single Muslim to stand up for justice and to fight against this form of dhulm or oppression in our community.
It's not a question of whether people should get involved with anti-racism work. It is our obligation as Muslims. And if you are a true Muslim that practices the faith and follows the sunnah of the Prophet, then you are obligated every single day to combat any type of racism that you see, regardless of who it's against, whether it be within the Muslim community or outside the Muslim community.
For us today, we still live with the unfinished business of racism and sexism and class. If we are going to have this relationship with the Almighty, then it means we should follow it with righteous deeds. That means not enough to say, oh, I'm not a racist, but to be able to say when you're at that time and place when someone else is saying something that's racist or sexist, that you speak out.